Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're back with another tier list video. Today we're going to be doing my rankings of every LCS mid laner for the upcoming split, professional season, whatever you want to call it, for 2021. I know they're not really doing splits anymore, so I don't know. I'm always struggling with what exactly to call it. But for the 2021 season, we have the 10 mid laners pretty much confirmed at this point. So I'm going to be ranking all these guys between S and F tier, giving my thoughts and opinions. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions as well. Let me know what I got right, what I got wrong. And if you even want to list me your whole ranking of the 10 mid laners 1 through 10 in the comments, I would love to check that out and know what you guys are thinking as well. But with that being said, let's get right into this video. Pretty much, historically, mid has been one of North America's weakest positions pretty much every single year, and this year is no exception. The mid laners this year, I'm really not excited about so many of them. I think we got a couple young guys coming in that I hope can be successful in the future, but man, mid lane looks very, very weak in the LCS this year, so it's going to be difficult for me to rank these guys. I'm probably going to get some of these wrong, but definitely let me know what you guys think as well. First up, the starting mid laner for Dignitas, we have Soligo, as Tyler One calls him, Soligo. He is a guy that we have seen before get a little bit of time on 100 Thieves. He is a young up-and-coming mid laner that a lot of people are hyped up about. He's pretty solid. He's done well in Academy before. He has not really had much success in the LCS so far yet in his career, but again, a lot of people have not given up on him yet. People think he has a bright future ahead. In my opinion, I think he's probably the worst mid laner in the league coming into this year. Again, he has a chance to prove a lot of people wrong. He has a chance, to maybe do something. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not super excited for him. Again, I think maybe for the future he has a chance to develop and stuff, but he's going to be on a pretty bad team in Dignitas. That's not going to make him look any better. It's going to be one of the weaker mid-jung duos in the entire league with Soligo and Dardoch. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not very excited for Soligo this year. I think he is an F-tier mid laner for sure. Maybe he can prove me wrong, but we'll see. Next up, we have Pobelter. Obviously, he's sticking around on CLG. He's going to be their starting mid laner. This is a guy that's bounced around the league a little bit. He's been in and out of the league. He's played on CLG, played on Team Liquid. He's had success. He's usually pretty consistent. He's never going to be like the best mid laner in the league or anything. But he is a guy who, if you need a resident mid laner, he can usually get the job done. He can be a very, very solid piece on a good team. But if he's like your main carry or something, you're probably going to be in trouble. But there is something to be said for that reliability, for that being a rock in the mid laner, and for being a resident, which is super, super valuable in North America, obviously. I have Pobelter as like a B tier, low B tier mid laner. If you wanted to move him into C, I probably wouldn't argue with you too much, but at least in my opinion, I have him kind of in the lower end of B tier right now. I'm not super excited for him, but he's solid. He'll get the job done for you most of the time. Next up, we have Jizuke. This is a guy who, when he was coming over to North America last year, I was super, super hyped up for him. He was coming off that really, really nasty Worlds run where he looked very exciting. He performed very well. But then we got him in NA, and he's been pretty up and down. He's been pretty coin flippy. A lot of people call him like Hooney in the mid lane, where he's going to carry some games for you, 1v9, but then he's just going to int some games for you, completely throw away very, very winnable games doing weird stuff. Some people blame it on the coaching staff last season, making him play weird picks and stuff. Again, we'll never know how much of that was a coaching staff, how much of that was him telling them, like, hey, this is what's good here. This is what I want to play. This is what I think we should play. But whatever it was, Jizuke had a pretty bad year, and however high people were on him after the 2019 Worlds, however high people were on him after that 2019 Worlds run, I think they should be equally as low on him after that 2020 season, especially in North America, which should have been a lot easier than in like Europe or even on the world stage. So again, I get it. He does have that peak potential. He can absolutely pop off and carry games, but those games were pretty few and far between in North America last year. In my opinion, Jizuke's coming in as a C tier mid laner. I have him below Pobelter. I have him as high C tier. I don't think he's like F tier or something. I don't think he's even close to F tier. But he's super inconsistent. And his bad days, he can look like one of the worst mid laners in the league. So I have him as C. Next up, we have PowerOfEvil. Obviously, he's the new TSM mid laner. He's coming off a year with FlyQuest where he made it to back-to-back finals. He performed pretty well throughout the entire year. Looked like one of the better mid laners in the league pretty much at all times. Didn't really slump ever too much that I can recall. Also went to Worlds. Did pretty solidly at Worlds. He's a guy who has a ton of international experience, ton of big game experience. He's done well in Europe. He's done well in NA. He's done well in the international stage. Very, very solid guy. He's never quite taken that next step to having like an absolutely dominating split where he's looked like the best mid laner in the league. He's had times where he's looked like the best mid laner in the league for sure. I struggle if I want to put him in S or A tier. But I think I'm going to have him in just high A tier right now. If there was like A plus tier, S minus tier, PowerOfEvil would be right there for me. I am pretty high on PowerOfEvil, but I don't quite think he's an S tier mid laner yet. But one of the better mid laners in the league for sure, and I'm happy he's on TSM. Next up, the big free agent pickup, we have Perkz. Obviously, he's coming over from G2. He was our AD carry. In Spring Split, he was our mid laner. He swapped back to AD carry in the Summer Split. And historically, he's one of the best mid laners in the world, possibly even the best mid laner in the entire West. I don't know, it depends who he thinks better between him and Caps, I guess. I lean a little bit more towards Caps, but it's still Perkz has done it historically in Europe. Of what, 8 LEC championships is absolutely insane. He has taken different teams, different lineups, different rosters to Worlds and always found a way to perform. He had that team that beat RNG a couple of years ago that nobody really expected. Everyone counted them out. Perkz, he has done nothing but win everywhere he's gone in his career. Not everywhere he's gone. He's only been on G2, but just with anyone who's come to him, he's been able to make it work. He's been able to win. I think he's going to be able to do very, very similar things in North America. He's probably the early favorite for MVP in most people's eyes. He's clearly an S tier mid laner. No doubt about it. Best mid laner in the league. I have him for sure above Jensen. Next up, we have Ablazeolive. This is a guy who has been in Academy for the last couple of years. He was with TSM. He's got to learn under Bjergsen. He's got to scrim with him a lot. A lot of people have amazing things to say about Ablazeolive. People have been saying he deserves his LCS spot for quite some time, but for whatever reason, he's never really gotten it. And that does make me a little wary. Like, how come he's never gotten a chance? How come people keep passing up on him? How come every time it looks like he's about to have a starting spot, it falls through? Is that he's not looking good in scrims? Is that he's not looking good with different teams? Or, what are their concerns with him where he hasn't gotten a shot? I guess historically it's kind of been teams just haven't really given young talent a chance in NA, especially NA mid laners. But I'm a fan of Ablazeolive. I'm pretty hyped for him. I'm excited for him. But he's got to prove it to me. Again, we haven't really seen him on the LCS stage yet. He's looked pretty good in Academy at times, but he's not absolutely smurfing in Academy year in and year out. So I'm hyped for him. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. He is going to be the mid laner for Golden Guardians in 2021. Again, it's really hard for me to rate these rookies because just because you look good in Academy, just because you look good in solo queue, just because you look good on even like Collegiate or something like that, doesn't mean you're just going to be able to walk into the LCS and dominate right away or even be successful at all right away. So for me, he's got to start on the F tier, but I do have him a little bit ahead of Soligo. I am more excited for Ablazeolive, and yeah, we'll see how he does. Next up, we have Damonte. Damonte, he has bounced around a couple of different teams in North America and even found himself teamless there for a little while. But he is another guy who's been able to win everywhere he's gone. He went to Worlds with Clutch Gaming. I think that was about a year ago. He's made a lot of teams better, and again, if you need a resident mid laner, if you need a North American mid laner, Damonte is your guy. He is my #1 choice for like actual North American talent as far as mid lane goes. He's not that amazing, insane carry. He kind of plays that budget do and be Walmart do and be style where he's going to facilitate for the team a little bit, and he's not able to do it as well as some other guys like Niski or something like that. But Damonte can make some game-winning plays. He can be there in some big moments for you. Yeah, if he has to stand toe-to-toe with people in lane, he's usually not going to be coming ahead with the leads very often, but he has a great attitude, great work ethic, loves to fit in team environments, and he's just a competitor. He likes, doing whatever it takes for his team to win. I do have him in the B tier. This might be one of the more controversial ones. I have him a little bit ahead of Pobelter and Jizuke. I do think he is, again, if I needed a North American resident mid laner, I would be going with Damonte over Pobelter. Yeah, I don't know. To me, these guys are all super, super close, but this is just my opinions right now. We'll see what happens in 2021. Damonte is going to be the mid laner for 100 Thieves. I think he's obviously going to be on the better team between Pobelter and Jizuke. I think it's going to help him look a little bit better. He's going to have better lanes to play around, which is going to help enable him in his roaming, facilitating playstyle. Yeah, and I think he's going to look really good in 2021. Next up, we have Insanity. He's coming back. He's going to be the starting mid laner for Immortals. This is a guy who we've seen in Academy the last couple of years. We've seen him get some chances in the LCS, and honestly, his chances so far in the LCS, he's looked pretty good. He has had some games where he's absolutely carried. He had a couple games where he carried and then inted and threw away the games, but he was just a couple moments away from having some absolutely pop-off performances in the LCS and really taking that step to start establishing himself as a starting mid laner in the LCS, proving that he belongs. But he just quite hasn't been able to put it all together yet. There's still been a couple of shaky mistakes here and there. This is another guy that's playing on a not very good team, so it might make him look a little bit worse. But he does have Xerxes coming in, so that will be an interesting mid-jung duo that might enable him a little bit, might help him look a little bit better, might help him have a little bit better season in 2021. I have him as a C tier mid laner. I do think he's better than Ablazeolive and Soligo. I do have him a little bit higher rated coming into the 2021 season, but we'll have to see how that goes. There's another young guy that's a big question mark for me that we really need to see more on the big stage and in more games because he just hasn't played in the LCS very much. Next up, we have Palafox. This is, in many people's opinion, the best mid laner from Academy last year. People are really, really excited for him. People are really, really hyped up for him. He is going to be headed to FlyQuest. They have a really young, kind of exciting lineup. Guys like Jose Diodo, Diamond, they have Jensen. This is looking like a good, scary team. But to be a good, scary team in the LCS, you have to have a good mid lane play. You need Palafox to step up. He needs to be as good as advertised. They're going to really need him to have a big year if they hope to make the playoffs, if they hope to take some games off the top teams. Palafox is kind of getting thrown right into the fire. There's going to be a ton of pressure on him right away. This team doesn't necessarily need to succeed this year, but if he looks bad and this team starts to fall, you know, they're going to be pointing fingers. There's going to be some troubles and stuff. But again, he was probably the best performing mid laner in Academy last year. That's good reason to be hyped up for him. That's good reason to be excited for him. I have him solidly in the C tier. I wouldn't put him above Jizuke yet until he proves it to me, but I would have him as the kind of the best of this group of younger mid laners that hasn't really proven anything yet. And finally, we have Jensen. I am not the biggest Jensen fan in the world. I do think he's a little inconsistent. I think he does choke in big games sometimes, but I think he has been getting better over the course of his year. He's coming off a not terrible Worlds performance. And Team Liquid, you know, they went 3-3 at Worlds. They almost made it out of their groups. They were so close. Jensen is super consistent year in and year out. He's always on teams that are competing for LCS finals, competing at international tournaments. He's always going to MSI. He's always going to Worlds. He made it to a World semifinal a couple years ago. As much as people like to hate on him, he is still a very solid mid. He's a resident, so he's really so valuable to Team Liquid. Having that consistent play as a resident in the mid lane for you helps Team Liquid out so much. I have him as S tier. I think Perkz is going to be better than him, but if you had Jensen over Perkz, I wouldn't think you're crazy. I wouldn't argue with you too much, because both of these guys are so consistent, so good. They're absolutely world class. And yeah, Jensen has really kind of been proving to me things more and more the last couple of years, and maybe this will be the year they're able to get out of groups on Team Liquid and finally start doing some damage internationally. But as far as LCS goes, Jensen's one of the best for sure. And if Team Liquid does well, he's going to be like an MVP candidate once again, as he usually is. And that'll be exciting for Team Liquid fans. But here it is, guys. Here is my LCS mid laner 2021 starting mid lane tier list. Again, comment down below. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know your guys' tier list. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like. Subscribe to update on the latest content. Check me out at Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_Germ. I'm going to be doing this for every single position in the LCS, every position in the LEC. We're going to be going over all the tier lists so you guys can have all my thoughts, rankings, and all that stuff before we get into the season. And then as the season goes on, we can see what I got right, what I got wrong, roast me about all that, joke around, have fun. And I think it'll be cool. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.